Going live on YouTube now. Stand by. Aloha and welcome to those of you who are tuned in the future. This is a recording for another Paradigm Shift Circle. Today's topic is what are the lessons of Mercury Retrograde, or as some of us like to call it, Mercury Gatorade. So we're going to be getting right into this discussion. Ren is going to be helping facilitate, just as a quick introduction to the concept of the Paradigm Shift Circles. Again, we do these Monday to Friday through our Discord server. They're voice-only conscious conversations, often not recorded. Sometimes we do, and we post them up afterwards to be able to share some of the wisdom that we're cultivating here as a community and to be able to invite people to future circles. So if you're listening to this in the future and you're not connected to the Discord, feel free to connect. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. And with that said, we will pass over to Ren, and the Discord link is in the info for this YouTube video. So Ren, thank you so much for facilitating, passing it over to you. And when you're ready, go right ahead.
Thank you, Brendan. Okay, so first of all, thank you also everyone for joining in today's Paradigm Shift Central Circle. So before we get started, we're just going to go over a few guidelines and reminders. So the Paradigm Shift Central Circles are an intentional, sacred digital space created to host inspirational, conscious conversations to nurture our spirits and to build community. Circles are not recorded unless mentioned otherwise, which this one is being recorded. At the end of the circle, a screenshot will be taken to show the names of those in attendance, but you are welcome to opt out of that if you wish. We will let you know beforehand when the screenshot will be taken. Please respect the instructions of the facilitators of the circle. Please respect the intention of the space. Please respect your fellow members. You are welcome to simply listen in or to speak in the circle. To step on stage and speak in the circle, please use the hand raise button and wait to be brought on stage by a facilitator. Once on stage, please wait for the facilitator's prompt to speak. If you are already on stage and wish to speak next, please blink your microphone by clicking the mute and unmute button a few times to wait for the facilitator's prompt. Circles generally go until the top of the hour. We will conclude with gratitude at 5 minutes to the hour. Please tell your friends and invite others who may be interested. If you have not already, please feel free to check out the Patreon to join as a leading member in the community and to help support these circles and other events. Again, thank you guys so much for joining and for contributing, and we really hope that you enjoy this circle discussion. So today's circle discussion is what are the lessons of Mercury in retrograde? So and I know Becca mentioned before, this is a concept she's not familiar with. And maybe some people, like, we keep hearing about this and it's become something that's very, always spoken about in the spiritual community, and especially as of recently. So let's first talk about the planet Mercury, because I will give us some insight into what happens during Mercury in retrograde. So Mercury, it rules the zodiac Virgo and Gemini. So Mercury is kind of in control of the element of the air and the earth, okay? Mercury itself rules the functions of the body that relate to our thinking processes. So therefore, it describes communication, decisions, writing, speech, thought, and all matters concerning with the mind. So Mercury is in charge of our throat chakra, okay? Which is in charge of the ether, so to speak. So what does it mean when a planet is in retrograde? So when a planet is in retrograde, this means that the planet is going backwards in its orbit when it's viewed from the Earth. So, usually it's going forwards, and this time it's going backwards, almost like something that's going against itself. So it feels a little awkward and it feels a little shaky. So a lot of people on this planet feel when a planet goes into retrograde. So astrologers believe that during this perceived backwards motion, technology and communication could get disrupted, which puts a damper on people's moods and can affect technology, especially. So typical Mercury retrograde effects, they can affect our schedules, unexpected timing delays, misunderstandings, especially with communication. Our phones and laptops and any technological things that we have are very prone to more glitches during these periods because, like I said, Mercury rules the technology as well, okay? So this is why a lot of people can get a little frizzled out when Mercury's in retrograde, because it almost feels like our technology is acting up, communications may be disrupted or getting a little bit shaken up. So this is a time where humans feel very like cut off from themselves in a way, and they may get more emotionally upset over things. And they also say that this is not a time to really make huge decisions, okay? Like, don't travel is a thing that they talk about to maybe not do, because again, like we said, some of these things can get interrupted during this time, okay? So if anyone has a story that they want to talk about, like anything that they've experienced during Mercury in retrograde, I'm sure they can atone to this. I think Brendan recently said something happened with him relating to the shadow period of Mercury. So I think Mercury retrograde usually lasts for like 2-3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. But there's also like the shadow periods, which can affect us the week before Mercury retrograde starts and the week even after Mercury retrograde ends. So kind of hangs over us for a little bit. Mercury also is in charge of, if we want to put a Roman god or a deity or a spirit guide, so to speak, Hermes is in charge of Mercury. So that is the winged Roman god that brings about communication, and he travels with his wings, and he like is all about writing and spoken word, email, contracts, agreements. So that's why Hermes is associated with Mercury as well, because of that reason. So when Mercury is in retrograde, you may get into an argument with your significant other. You may get your train delayed. Things like that. So if anyone wants to come on stage, speak about anything relating to Mercury in retrograde, what maybe they've been feeling something specifically lately, like that shadow period, because it's coming soon, you're more than welcome to speak. Brendan, did you just mute and unmute your microphone? All right, cool. So Brendan, you can go next. If anyone on stage want to go next, just unblink and unblink your microphone, and then you can go after Brendan. So thank you, Brendan, and welcome on stage.
Awesome. Thank you, Brendan. Thank you again for facilitating and for giving us a nice little introduction to Mercury retrograde. Again, I think it's like, wait a second, like they didn't teach us about this in school. Like, why didn't I learn about the retrogrades of astrology and all of this crazy stuff? And I mean, the thing is like there are retrogrades for every planet, and astrology again is this study of like, it's like the microcosm of the macrocosm, and the movements of the astrological bodies are reflected into kind of like the hologram of this reality as well. But just speaking on the topic of speaking on the topic of what are the lessons of Mercury retrograde, as Ren was saying, is something where oftentimes like communication can be affected and everything. And so when it comes to Mercury retrograde, I think it really is an opportunity to, even as we're getting into it, to really be able to anticipate that the universe will kind of basically almost try to like test our stability, to kind of like test the fortitude of something. It's almost like kind of like, excuse me, I got like a oh no, there's like a small like strawberry seed in my throat. Mercury retrograde in full effect. It's affecting my communication. See, it's happening right now. But anyways, I'll be okay. I just got to breathe. What I was going to say is that, one of the ways that we can kind of look at the process of Mercury retrograde, it's not like the universe is actually trying to like kick our butt. But in some ways it is kind of trying to like kick our butt into shape, where it's trying to help us learn to refine things and adjust things and make subtle changes that by the time Mercury retrograde will be done, things will be even more refined. So Mercury retrograde actually is like a refining process. It is kind of like this process of kind of like entering into a bit of a storm, but with the knowing that it is happening, we also have the opportunity to be able to prepare for it and prepare for it ahead of time, but also to be able to actively kind of like find ways of dealing with it as it's actually happening. And so that's where I actually put up a little post in Instagram today that was shared from another Instagram profile called Butterfly Medicine. And it was just basically giving some like basic tips for Mercury retrograde on things that we can do. And some of the tips, and I'll just basically read what it was talking about in the Instagram post, is again just tips where it's basically referring to like the idea of like meditating often, journaling often, listening to your intuition, knowing miscommunication will happen, having patience, and know that technology may glitch at some point. So again, with this process of prior to Mercury retrograde, I think as individuals, we have this opportunity to be able to kind of like check and be able to go back to our projects and kind of like check the fine details, make adjustments where need be, refine things, make sure that we're not like carrying too many things all at once. And at the same time, I think Mercury retrograde, really the lesson of it is about self-care. The lesson of it is about being able to cultivate more awareness. I think Mercury retrograde, part of the lesson of Mercury retrograde is actually there to make sure that we don't get too lazy, so to speak, so it's kind of like, oh, if the universe didn't have this Mercury retrograde process, then our communication would just continue to get sloppier and sloppier and sloppier. Our habits would just get sloppier and sloppier and sloppier, so to speak. And if that happens, it happens, but we have to have the conscious awareness to be able to acknowledge when that's happened. But again, it's kind of like this idea that I think of Mercury retrograde as a test, where it's testing the integrity. It's testing the integrity of our internal structure, as well as the structure of the things around us. And sometimes we have to understand is that, like if something can't withstand like the test, if something can't withstand like the earthquake test, that doesn't mean that, if anything, like that can actually be like clearing space for something else still to come. So the process of Mercury retrograde can actually almost be like making room for what's coming into your life. So that's where, like despite your best ability, you may end up experiencing something where it's like, oh, like I was working on a project and then, for some reason, like things didn't work out and now I'm totally changing my entire vision of it. But then flash forward a few months down the line and you're like, whoa, wait a second, like this vision actually makes way more sense. So within the process of Mercury retrograde, and I'll just say this and I'll pass it back to Ren, it is kind of this idea that, the universe is kind of operating from this higher dimensional perspective and plane and awareness, this non-linear understanding, where you kind of have to trust the process of Mercury retrograde without falling victim to it. I think this is very, very, very important. I'll just say this part and then I'll pass it over, where, some people kind of like in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way, they'll blame everything on Mercury retrograde. They'll be like, oh man, like I wanted to actually, oh, I should do that. I should make this skit. I was going to do this like a long time ago, where it's like, like you're just like walking through your house and you like stub your toe on a chair and you're just like, oh, like freaking Mercury retrograde, gosh darn it. And then you're like in your kitchen, you like drop a dish and you're like, oh, freaking Mercury retrograde, and you're just like blaming Mercury retrograde, and you like run out of toilet paper, you're like, Mercury retrograde, and you're just like blaming Mercury retrograde on everything. But it's like, let's take responsibility. And then so, like even if there are these little hiccups along the way, it's like, again, how do you respond to them opposed to react? So Mercury retrograde, again, it's a communication between the mind and the heart as well. And so if there isn't that communication, then I think that's where the disruption naturally arises. But again, I think it's totally possible to move through Mercury retrograde with a degree of awareness where it's not something where you're like fearing it, but you're actually just kind of like more aware of it. And then as the waves and everything kind of ebb and flow, you're actually able to kind of like surf it with more conscious intention. So Mercury retrograde is a great time to connect with yourself, go out in nature, do movement, sing, work on projects that you have in the work, and stay grounded. So yeah, I'll pass it over to Ren, and I'm excited to hear what anybody else has to share. Thank you, Ren.
Thank you, Brendan. Yeah, I really love you having. I love the tips that you gave us. I really appreciate that. And yeah, like you said, just it's kind of like an opportunity. Like you said, like a lot of people may take Mercury's like, God damn it, like why do I gotta deal with this? Like everything's just falling apart, but it's really not. It's like you said, it's to keep us accountable and to stay on top of like our like walk what we talk, so to speak. And I kind of look at it more as like a learning period, like I like that it kind of kicks my butt into gear, because I'm like, okay, I got work to do. Like if I'm getting overwhelmed with this, like something's got to give. I got to like put more work in this and things like that. So I really love everything you said about that, because I agree full-heartedly. So Kelly, I saw you came on stage. Did you want to go next? Just unmute and mute your microphone if you want to go next. And you totally can.
I came last, so other people can go first if they want.
Oh yeah. I did. Jessica or Ashley, did you guys mute or unmute your microphones? Did any of you guys want to speak first? If not, it's okay. I'm not pressuring you. Like, no worries. Yeah. So, actually, Kelly, if you do want to go next, you're more than welcome. Because I don't think anyone else wants to go right now. But yeah.
All right. Hi, everybody. I was just going to say, yeah, keeping a sense of humor is good because it's funny you said breaking a dish. That's what happened the last 2 Mercury retros for me. And I was like, all right, something's got to give. I'm glad it was just a dish. But I try to keep this balance of having it slow me down and be more precise, like you were saying, and just go through things a little slower, be a little more careful. And it is kind of leveling up because it's like, acting out what we are supposed to do anyway. And I try to keep the balance of thinking about how it's Mercury retro and at the same time not trying to placebo affect myself or manifest it, like kind of keeping that, but without thinking about it too much. So I don't think I'm going to make it happen or something. So I try to walk that balance. And then when things happen, I keep a sense of humor. I do have to travel during this time. So I'm just going to be like, meditating and like staying chill because my parents are having their 50th wedding anniversary and I'm going to see them. But normally I wouldn't make travel plans and I have to get a negative test before I go where I'm going. And I'm going to have all these backup methods in case the apps don't work and print out things. And I'm going to have to do all that stuff. And I'm just planning for it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to do it because you got to have the technology communication backup method so that you can just relax in it. That's what I was going to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Kelly. Yeah. I mean, the good thing is that you're aware of Mercury being in retrograde. Like some people that don't, like they would be like, oh, I'm fine, I'm good, I don't need my papers. And then they get there and like, oh man, like I need this. So it's great that you're organized because I think the more organized you are and the more prepared in a sense that you are for Mercury retrograde, the less like when things happen, like you'll be prepared for it, and you won't take it so much to heart, right? I think it's crazy that Mercury is literally associated with our nervous system, like the brain and the respiratory system and our thyroid, because that I feel like a lot of those like organs can like really act up, or those systems act up a lot during Mercury. And like I said, I was having really bad my lymph nodes were really swelling up last night, and I'm like, wow, this is weird because this is completely related to the throat chakra, which is in the element and planet of Mercury. So everything's connected, and so like Brendan was saying before, like Kelly, like don't let this time like get the best of you, have humor with it. You drop a plate, like haha, it's Mercury, don't let it get the best of you. Like if anything, let it teach you, so that's what I love. I love Mercury personally. Amanda, I saw you popped up, so would you like to go next?
Yes, please.
Curious, welcome.
Thank you. All right, so I did want to let you guys know the dates since you guys seemed a little bit confused on that. So it goes into retrograde tomorrow, 6:14 Eastern p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't quote me on that though, but it goes into retrograde tomorrow. It runs until June 22nd. I actually like Mercury retrograde. I always feel more energized during it. I have no idea why. But yeah, I've never, like, obviously there's the technology glitches that happen, but they're never really that big of a deal. And I've never really had that big of an issue with it. I've always had trouble communicating, period. So it's never really caused me problems with my communications when I already have problems with my communication. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say because I gotta go pick up small people, but okay, bye.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for telling us the dates. That's my brother's birthday, June 22nd. So that's really funny that it literally is ending right on his birthday. Yeah. So again, I love that hey Casey, I'm gonna bring you on stage right now, and then you can speak right after. I love that you're like, yeah, this don't bother me. Like, what are you guys talking about? I got this under the bag. Like, I'm good. Like, even if, like, sometimes, like you said, problems with communication can affect you, this is also about, like, our creativity and, like, our life force, our healing nature and openness, and maybe, like, it inspires you subconsciously some way to really, like, take advantage of that time and, like, really get in tune with your inner self. So that's really awesome. That, you know, fruit is something that's really great to eat during Mercury in retrograde. I don't know why, but it's on my chart. So it says, fruit is really great to eat during this time. Crystals are always like blues, turquoise, azurite, things like that. Incense, I feel like, helps. Like, all these things can really be like tools for us during this time to, like, keep us in a meditative state and keep our anxiety levels down when, you know, things go awry and things like that. So you remember that Mercury doesn't have the power over you. You have the power over Mercury, you know? So I'm going to let Casey go. Casey, welcome. Do you just mute on your microphone real quick if you want to go next? Okay, cool. So yeah, welcome, Casey. Thank you for joining, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so excited about this topic because Mercury retrograde is like happening when my birthday's happening as well, so it's kind of a funny thing. I'm seeing it as I'm kind of hunkering down and focusing within. I've always had a problem with my throat chakra, so this is like actually gonna probably help me a lot better. Doing like things that I love, and I'm very creative in that kind of department too, so I definitely have no problems. I've always had, like what Amanda was saying, like technical issues with technology, and but yeah, I just had other things to say and now I forgot, but just I'm definitely taking it easy. I'm glad I know the months or the days now. But I'm definitely gonna like hunker down a little bit and save money. So I'm gonna do like a no spend, and just self-care, take more walks in nature, and just go more within. And I think we forget about doing that as well. Especially like a lot of empaths, they focus more on other people, and I think this is a good time for you to work on yourself and to understand that you can have like adventure and have fun, but don't bog it down, and use this time to find your inner child. I see that a lot going on right now. So yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about that, and yeah, thanks for letting me talk.
Thank you, Casey. Yeah, if you do remember anything else you want to say, you're more than welcome to like hop on again. But yeah, I really love how you said not spending money, because that's something that, you know, they really talk about during Mercury. Like, don't be frivolous with your money, you know, because before you know it, you could be buying a brand new house when you already had one already. So yeah, thank you, Amanda, also for the dates, because yeah, I don't know why I just didn't look up the dates this time. I was like, it's coming soon, and when it comes, I'll be good. But yeah, it's actually good to like know that, because then you're like, oh, why is all this happening? Okay, cool. Like, that's why we're still in Mercury. And yeah, like you said, Casey, just self-care is so important during this time, and like being easy on ourselves, you know, especially like as empaths, like we really need to just utilize the time to take care of our needs, and really start goal setting, and whatever it may be, you know, even drawing, creating, like Brendan said before, singing, being outside in nature, meditating. These are all tools that help us to our higher selves, right? So yeah, thank you. Anyone else that wanted to come on stage that's in the audience right now, just raise your hand. And Ashley or Jessica, you guys are still on stage. Did any of you guys want to say anything on this topic? Just mute and unmute your microphone if you wanted to. If not, you can just, you know, you can keep it off. It's fine. Music fuels me. I'm going to bring you on. Cool. And yeah, so thank you guys. This is an awesome topic. So music fuels me. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. You can tell me when you get on. Did you want to go next?
Yeah, if there's no one up right away.
Yeah, awesome. You can go next, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Okay. And I'm Rachel. Um, yeah, and I was on the Floetry yesterday too. So, um, I kind of was told just earlier this morning, like, that there are really intense energies going on, and because of the full moon, the eclipse, and Mercury retrograde. So I think it's really crazy that so many things are happening just in the universe all at once, and um, that it's a good time to um, work on your healing and work on things that you want to release from um, just your energy field. So working on shadow work, things related to communication and inner child stuff. I I did a lot earlier today, and I really felt like the energies were just supporting me. It was a lot easier to touch on those difficult topics. Um, and also utilizing the energy. You don't want to get hung up on always utilizing the energy. You need breaks and having transition time from that intense inner reflection and healing to shifting back to more everyday life. I knew I kind of struggled this today with the transition, so I'm trying to learn how to transition better, so there isn't kind of this uh abrupt swing of energy shift that happens, if that made sense. It's kind of very new, and um I think going out in nature and just quieting the mind is the way to do it. And also music, I think, just to get lighthearted again. Anyway, thanks for sharing. I really wanted to listen to this circle because um, I had a healer friend say how intense the energies are, and um, yeah, just that it's prominent in all our lives right now, the intense energy that's going around. So yeah, thanks for listening, and thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Of course, thank you, Rachel. Yeah, Brendan, I see you muting your microphone, so I'll definitely let you go next. So, yeah, sometimes when people have different names on their Discord, I'm just like, I'm sorry, I get confused with your Discord name, and so yeah, thank you so much, Rachel, for speaking. Yeah, this is definitely a time to take care of our needs. The energies are definitely intense. The human resonance is completely off the charts right now. Mercury also controls, in astrology, our third house, which our third house is our near environment. So the near environment is all about our routine of our everyday life, our involvement with our friends, our neighbors, siblings, our community, all things like that. So they say that Mercury, since it rules over the third house, this is really a house to take care of right now. So our near environment. So I think that's really awesome that everything connects, everything is about taking care of your own vessel, taking care of what goes on in your environment, and making sure that it's a safe space for you, and that you're just enjoying it. And like Rachel said, you don't always have to be constantly thinking of doing something every single day with Mercury. You don't even have to do oh, I need to sing today, or I need to write. I didn't do anything. I just laid in bed and watched Netflix. That's totally fine. Being in the present moment and just going with what you're feeling for the day. You need to honor your feelings and your needs. Okay. So I think that's really important. So thank you so much, Rachel. And Brendan, we'll let you go next. Welcome back.
Thank you, Ren, and thank you, Rachel, and everyone. Yeah, so again, like we're already, it's getting like this conversation just fly by so quick, but just moving towards the conclusion of it, again, I want each of us to have the opportunity to really feel like, and this is more of a question, how do we feel empowered moving into Mercury retrograde? How do we work with the energies, right? Opposed to thinking that it's something that we need to like resist against, right? How do we lean into them? And so a lot of it has already kind of been covered, but just to be able to reiterate it, I think this is really a powerful time to just bring in more mindfulness, to just bring in more observation, and even the context of Mercury as an archetype. Again, Mercury is the kind of like the energy archetype of like communication, and therefore it is also like the messenger. So at this point in our reality individually, it's like, what messages are coming into our space, are coming into our field, and are we listening, right? Like, I think sometimes that can happen where we're kind of go busy, and the universe is trying to like send us a message, but we don't always receive it, right? That's where we kind of have this ability to have this free will to just be putting our focus on whatever else we may be having it on. And so within this energy, use this as a potent time to be able to connect more with the communication between yourself and the universe, and to develop a more intimate relationship. And I love the idea that, again, the character, the archetype of Mercury is also identified with Hermes Trismegistus, or Thoth in some ways. And so when we think of this idea of the hermit, this is literally referring to the character of Hermes Trismegistus. And again, this is a character that is kind of like written about all throughout like lore and history, and is all about, again, this practice of going inwards. So this is a very, very powerful time to be able to go inwards, but in the process of going inwards, we are going in to be able to further embody our truth, to be able to like connect further with like what is activating inside of us, to really nurture that seed. And so I think each and every single one of us, this Mercury retrograde period, we can think of it as a gestation period, in the process of like how a seed grows as well. Like sometimes that will happen where the seed, it will be under the dirt, and it will be there, and it will just be there. It will be there. It will be there. It will be there. And on the outside looking in, it almost looks like nothing's happening, right? But what's actually happening is that there's actually like a gestation process, and then suddenly within the process of like literally just like 3 or 4 days, it like sprouts. It just right up through the dirt, right? So I think that is what we can kind of identify as what is happening here with Mercury retrograde, where it's a process of us kind of like doing that inner work, going inwards, really listening, going slow, going into our own, like solitude as need be, with the intention of being able to blossom out. And I think it's beautiful and not a synchronicity, like not a coincidence at all, that Mercury retrograde is concluding right at the time of the summer solstice. So I think it will be a beautiful opportunity for us to just be able to move out of the Mercury retrograde in sync and in celebration with the energy of the solstice, which again is all about this rejuvenation and this new birth and this new life and everything. So moving into Mercury retrograde, I see it as an opportunity, and so right now, for each and every single one of us, use this to really just bring more awareness to your environments, to your projects, to your relationships, and bring that attention to where it needs to be, right? If you've got projects that you haven't finished, maybe spend a little bit more time there. If you've got relationships that you feel the communication is a little off, bring a little bit more energy there. So we're bringing this energy into very specific parts of our reality, opposed to just kind of like spreading it out into new things. And that's usually what they talk about with Mercury retrograde, where they're saying like, now is not the time to suddenly just like go and embark on like brand new things. But at the same time, like honestly, like don't feel that you can't, don't feel that you're not supposed to in a lot of ways. I know for myself, like within what I do for Paradigm Shift and everything like that, like June is going to be a very busy month for me, and there's actually going to be a lot of new projects that I'll be working on. But the projects in themselves are an extension of things that I've previously been working on. But again, I think Mercury retrograde, I think we just need to be able to practice like dissolving any sort of like superstition that we might have around it, and to even kind of like lean into the waves, where it's like, what, like I am going to start a new project, or I am going to start a new relationship and things like that. And if things come up, I'll address them as they come up. That's not a problem. Like, that's not something that is going to prevent me from living my life. Like, each and every single one of us here, we are capable of adapting. And I think Mercury is again, you know, kind of like when we think of Mercury, like the element of Mercury, what does it do? It like molds and it shapes. So this is kind of like bringing out the inner characteristics of our ability to be like Mercury, where again, you know, we can kind of like adjust to new environments as they shift around us, while continuing to anchor ourselves into like the center of our being. So it's the ability to kind of like be able to like step into the center of the storm and to still be able to like find our stillness, and in the process of doing that, to be able to like see new parts of ourselves activate, where it's like, whoa, like things were a little bit challenging this month, but look how much I've grown. Look what I was able to accomplish, even in spite, and things like that. So again, you know, Mercury retrograde, and I'll just say this, it literally is something that is there for us. It's not just happening to us, it is literally there for us. So when we begin to understand that, and really even, you know, just like in a practice, even within us having, or just within your own, even just kind of like, kind of in a very kind of like, in a full-hearted way, but almost jokingly, just be like, thanks, Mercury retrograde. Like, oh, I love you, Mercury retrograde. Like, put out like energy to it in this way where it's like, yeah, like I can't wait to refine my communication and my projects, and I can't wait to be able to spend more time working on my journaling and my prompts, and, you know, practice connecting with my voice and my communication. So yeah, I see Mercury retrograde as a very, very beautiful time, and I think as individuals we have the opportunity to really be able to help destigmatize it and to lean into it with again, with an embodied sense of awareness that will allow us to move through it, and to continue to like grow even more. You know, it's kind of like Mercury retrograde is a period, almost like in a video game, where it's like ×2 XP, you know, like it's like, this is a time, like if you want to really level up, like you can go hard right now, like you can, but again, you know, going hard is going to be a relative thing, because I think at the same time, it's not about going hard, it's simply about listening and doing what you need. So don't feel as if you need to compare yourself to somebody else. You may see some people starting new projects and doing crazy things over the next month, but again, like what we were saying, if your heart, if your spirit is basically just saying, hey, you know what, now is a great time to slow down, then listen to that. That's what's most important. Listening to your spirit, listening to the communication, again, between the heart and the mind, between your soul and the universe, and just getting more in tune with that, and just feeling this like ever abundance of support and love that is coming your way. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. And thank you again, everyone, for communicating and being a part of this discussion today. Ren, I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Brendan. Yeah, I mean, part of that is like communicating, which you just did, and you know, you shared so much wisdom with us, and I really appreciate that. And I love how you said that, like, you know, like wiping away the stigma with Mercury is really important, because I get like, oh my God, working at a metaphysical store, let me tell you, the amount of people that would come in when it was about to be Mercury retrograde, people flipping out, like, oh my God, I need a crystal, please help me. We're like acting like an apocalypse was happening. And I literally say to like customers, like, it's okay, like don't worry, we got you, like, but you have to like be calm about it, because the more worked up that you get about it, it's almost like you're attracting that energy to just come in, you know, like, so it's okay. You know, retrogrades happen all the time. They happen a few times a year. And like Brendan said, it's the way that we handle it and like wipe away the stigma with it. It could be a great opportunity and time for growth and starting projects and working on ourselves and all beautiful things like that. And I love how you mentioned Hermes, because Thoth, Hermes, his 3 different, you know, reincarnated selves, he's the one that woke me up to my spiritual being. Like, he came to me as Thoth, and like that's why I am here today, because like I learned so much from like him waking me up and like showing me all these beautiful aspects of life that I was completely like closed off to. So I love that you mentioned him. Jessica, I saw you mute and unmute yourself. Would you like to go next?
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and thank you for this space. I don't really know a whole lot about astrology, but I've always found that in general, even before I struggled with, you know, mental health and everything, over the past few years, that balance has always been something that I've needed and I've always had to work on like consistently. So I do actually have to go. I'm going out of town on the 7th through the 14th. So now that I know this, it's going to be interesting. But I'm glad that we talked about it so I can be more prepared. Um, Another aspect part of my life that I struggle with is me and my son. We get along, and he's a great kid, but sometimes our lines are crossed, and I don't really have that struggle with my daughter, but with my son, I do. So yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting trip. I hope everything goes as smoothly as planned. But Kelly, also, I wanted to thank you for mentioning the COVID test and everything because I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to do that before we fly. So yeah, I definitely need to look into that. But yeah, just saying that balance has always been something that I've always known that I've had to work on. So yeah, this will definitely be something that I need to be more prepared for this coming month. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, I hope your trip goes really well. And maybe it was like divine timing that you came in here. So like you could learn about Mercury retrograde. And so like if something did happen, like, oh, this drive there didn't work. We have to take another route or whatever it may be, anything can come up. You'll now be more prepared. Like you'll be like, oh, this makes sense. It's because like disruptions happen sometimes. And, just roll with the punches. And like Kelly said before, like not to take it so seriously and like let's not let it get like the best of us. It's everything's a growing experience. And this is like you mentioned your son, like this is a really good time actually, in our parathyroid specifically to balance the yin and the yang, so the male and the female energy. So maybe this could actually be a time for you and your son to have that expansive growth or communication. Like you never know what will happen, so this might be a perfect opportunity for that. It might just come up and so that's really awesome. Ashley, I saw that you muted and unmuted your microphone. Did you want to go next?
Yes, please.
Awesome, thank you. Welcome on stage.
Hey, I would have talked earlier, but I was on a nature walk and I just kept laughing at you guys talking about getting out in nature, and I was like, it ain't safe out here either. um, just kidding. But I mean, I usually put my cap on when I come out here to do my walk. And today I had my hair up in a messy bun and I was like, I don't feel like messing with it. I'm not going to wear my cap. Well, I get out here, start walking, and then it's hot, so sweat starts dripping in my eyes. My vision is blurred, burning. My glasses are all messed up from all the sweat, and I was just like, oh, I should have worn my hat. But um, this past few weeks, I feel like retrograde's been kicking my butt a little bit. I've been extremely clumsy, more than usual, and I'm usually not clumsy at all. But yeah, I've been dropping stuff, tripping over myself and whatnot. And, but like, I don't remember who said it, but keeping a sense of humor about things definitely helps. Um, and after my walk, I just kind of sat on a rock and just listened to you guys and enjoyed the breeze and wiped the sweat off my face and just sitting here soaking up the sun. So even though it was a little bit of a rough walk trying to get through, um, the ending was beautiful. So I just want to say I love you guys and thank you all for sharing and teaching us all things about stuff that not all of us know about. So I love you guys.
Thank you, Ashley, and we love you too, and we appreciate you being in here with us. And that nature walk sounds so nice. I feel like we should be doing this. It's so good for our systems. I found a little I found this mindfulness notebook recently at my grocery store, and it's just filled with like mindfulness journal entries and things like that. So I found one, and I was like, you know what? I'll read this to my group today, and like over the course of Mercury in retrograde, if this is something for your own like journal entry and your own selves, if you want to like journal down, the topic is get growing. What part of yourself are you working on? How are you expanding yourself? The act of writing it down will allow you to get more specific about the ways that you want to move forward. So that might be a fun little thing that we can do for ourselves during this month, is like writing these things down and finally starting to, you know, like organize our thoughts more. And, you know, it can get overwhelming. We think like, I don't know how much it was, but like over like 8,000 thoughts or something a day. And I was like, what? No way am I thinking that much. But like, yeah, we do. We're always thinking. So being able to write down our goals or what we want to do for ourselves can be something that it's almost like this lift comes off our shoulder of like, oh, okay, now it's organized here. It's laid out and set for me. And I don't feel as like heavy about this, like all being in my head of what I want to do for myself. So I think that's really important, like just putting ourselves on a pedestal kind of right now. And that's not selfish at all, but taking care of our needs and like healing and tuning into our inner child is going to really help us during this whole month of retrograde. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Everyone that spoke was like, I love to hear from all of you. It was amazing. Anyone that's in the audience, we are going to be ending soon. So if you did want to pop on stage and just say anything that you wanted to, anyone that's in the already on stage, if you want to say anything else, you can just mute and unmute your microphone right now. You can have your last say. But yeah, again, this was a really, I think, important and also like eye-opening topic, because like Brendan said, like a lot of people like don't know about Mercury retrograde and like what really goes on during this time. But I think we all like really laid the foundations down of like what does happen during this time, and we all got to like share and help each other with it. So that's awesome. So yeah, thank you. Brendan, you want to go?
Thanks, Ren. Yeah, so for anybody else who wants to share, we'll just get some closing thoughts, and then Ren will wrap it up for us, and just allowing myself to just kind of reflect on any closing thoughts. Again, you know, I think a lot has been covered, and again, I think as we kind of move through Mercury retrograde and beyond, I just want to really be able to bring attention to how powerful it is for each of us to just be able to practice joining spaces like this, to be able to practice communicating, to be able to practice sharing. And I think, again, you know, communication is something that literally requires practice. And it requires practice as well as awareness. And I think, again, you know, there's a lot of things that happen within this world that don't necessarily, you know, like that don't necessarily need to happen as a result of communication not being not happening quite as well as it could. So, you know, when we create spaces like this, or when we practice having conversation, and when we practice even just like communicating on our own time through vocal exercises, singing, journaling, expressing, video, having discussions and everything like that, it really, really does go a long way. Because again, you know, in the process of doing that, we're basically helping kind of create a clearer channel for whatever information it is that is coming through between, you know, like from our heart out into the world. And just reminding ourselves that, you know, there's beautiful things that each and every single one of us have to be able to bring into this world, and doing it through the process of communication is such a beautiful and magical and powerful way, and everybody's voice here is such a powerful tool to be able to help shape the world around us. So yeah, as we get ready to move into Mercury retrograde, you know, I would just invite everyone to maybe just take a little bit of time to tidy up their space, you know, clean your physical space. I think that would actually be a great step to just kind of be able to create the space for yourself mentally as well. And try to develop new routines, you know, like try to go to sleep a little bit earlier, try to wake up a little bit earlier, allow yourself to develop like more of like this like resilience, and so when things, if and when things do kind of like become a little bit bumpy, you'll know that you have like kind of like this foundation to be able to respond to it from, instead of just like feeling like you need to react to it. So yeah, I would say this is a beautiful time for us to just be able to tidy things up, spend a little bit of time just exploring our arts and our crafts, working on projects, maybe reaching out to people we haven't talked to, practicing having conversations, maybe doing some flow trees, some song, finding ways to ground ourselves, taking care of ourselves physically as well. And yeah, again, I think all of what is happening with Mercury retrograde is essentially just leading us back closer to our own heart. It is like teaching us how to love ourselves even more deeply. And so yeah, just being open to that and meeting the universe halfway. So don't just wait for Mercury retrograde to kind of give you a rude awakening. I think we can preemptively just kind of prepare ourselves for it, and let's check back, like by the solstice, and I'd love to just kind of be able to hear how everybody's Mercury retrograde went. And I've had plenty of Mercury retrogrades where I'm like, wow, like that didn't, like, to me it was just another month. Like it didn't really feel all too much different. So again, I think it is kind of one of those things where it's like, if there are some potent lessons that the universe needs you to go through, they'll show up. But at the same time, if you've kind of been like doing the work and kind of just getting yourself into whatever it is that you need to be, then you may find that the Mercury retrograde period may be not much different from any previous months or periods as well. But just understanding that it will be whatever it needs to be at the same time. So be open to lessons, be open to, as much as you will, be open to kind of embracing the moments where you do get tested a little bit. But in the process of being tested, you also have the opportunity to be able to demonstrate your resolve as well, and to be able to like see the strength and the stability and the fortitude that you carry inside of you. And yeah, I'm excited for Mercury retrograde. Like I think I'll probably have to make some sort of ridiculous satirical TikTok about getting excited about Mercury retrograde. But anyways, Ren, this has been a great discussion. I'll pass back to you. And then, yeah, let's just do some quick closing thoughts, and then we'll wrap up in a few minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Brendan. Yeah, this was an awesome discussion. I had a lot of fun with it, and this could be like a great opportunity for each and every one of us to grow. And again, I would love to see too at the end of the month, like end of June, like, hey, like I did this, like I did that, and like this is what this lesson taught me. And like, I'd love to see how each and every one of us, like especially the ones that were in this discussion today, handled this time, so it's going to be really cool. And I wasn't kidding when I said drink your water. Make sure you are hydrating yourself during this time. Like it's very, very important to stay hydrated. Drink as much water as you can, especially if you're traveling, Jessica and Kelly. So make sure you're drinking that. So yeah, thank you guys. This was a lovely, lovely discussion. If anyone has any gratitude that they want to give for this circle or for their loving community and people, you just unmute your microphone if you want to say anything. If you want to come on stage and just say anything, you can raise your hand. But if not, yeah, I think we're good. I think we're ready to ride into the realm of Mercury now.
Onwards to Mercury! It's like riders of Rohan. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, again, anybody else who wanted to share any gratitude? Last call. If anybody want to jump in and we feel your guys' gratitude. Yeah, Jessica, go for it, yeah.
Yep. Just thank you all for the tips and everything. I really appreciate it. Have a good day.
Anybody else? I think Amanda, yeah?
I'm just picturing you and Ren on unicorns with buckets of water going forth into Mercury, and that's all I can see now. So yeah, grateful for that, and thanks for the discussion. And I am going to run and get my small people. Okay, bye.
I love that.
If nobody else is feeling called to share, that's totally fine. Ren, go ahead and just kind of closing thoughts from you. I know you already kind of closed thoughts, but just closing thoughts, and then we'll do a screenshot, and then I'll just do some house notes after that.
Don't be afraid of Mercury, embrace Mercury as your friend. There's lessons to learn in this place that we have Mercury in retrograde. Woo! Yeah, that's about it. I love you guys. I'm feeling silly now. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. All right. Thank you again, everyone. Thank you, Ren, so much. For those of you who are listening to this in the future, go ahead and give Ren a follow on Instagram, Living Zen with Ren. And stay tuned. We got more Paradigm Shift Circles coming your way. Again, Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. EDT. And leading members, if you guys want to facilitate future circles, just go ahead and let me know. We'll release the schedule on the weekend. And if you guys want to let me know ahead of time if you are interested in facilitating, you can also let me know if a particular topic. I know I do want to be able to kind of lean into some UFO related topics next week as well. And yeah, there's not too much house notes to be able to go over. If you are on Spotify, be sure to follow us on YouTube at Skull Babylon, and make sure you're connected to the Discord if you haven't already yet. And please feel free to tell your friends about what we do here in the Paradigm Shift Circles, as well as the community in general. And again, if you want to get involved as a leading member, you're welcome to join in on the Patreon there, and we're more than happy to be able to have new people joining us. So yeah, I think that's about it, and let's go have a beautiful weekend and clean our rooms and practice our communication and get ready for the epic journey still ahead of us. So let me just make sure there's nothing else I'm accidentally forgetting to communicate. No, I think that's pretty much about it. So we'll do a quick screenshot now, and then we'll post that into the Discord. And anybody who doesn't want to be in the screenshot, feel free to jump out of the channel, and we'll take the screenshot in 5 seconds. And I'll just take it on my end, right, and then I'll just send it to you just real quick. 5, 4. Oh, 2 seconds. Let me try again. Perfect. There we go. All right. Awesome. This has been a wonderful discussion. Thank you so much again, everyone. Thank you, Ren, for facilitating. I'm glad that we were recording this. And for those of you watching in the future, listening in the future, please feel free to leave your comments. And yeah, we're ready to wrap it up. So for everybody who's on stage, let's wave towards the camera or the microphone. Wave towards the microphone and say goodbye. And until next time. So thanks again, everyone, for joining in. We love you guys. Bye, bye, bye. We love you guys. Bye. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you guys. Bye. Love you all.
Have an awesome weekend. Bye.
Love
Bye.
you.
Love you. Woo.
Bye.
Love you guys.
Thanks again.